People hear food allergies and automatically think food, but there's an entire human experience behind it. I'm Cassidy Allen, and this is for the conversations that we don't talk about enough. Welcome to Beyond the Label with Asteryx. Welcome back to Beyond the Label. I'm your host, Cassidy Allen, and today's episode is one that I think so many of you are going to see yourselves in. When people think about food allergies, they usually think about the obvious parts: reading the ingredient labels, carrying the EpiPens, avoiding the foods, asking all the questions, whatever it might be. But there are so many pieces of this life that no one ever talks about. The confidence it takes to advocate for yourself, the independence and the life skills that you build because of them, and just the moments where you feel isolated and all of the things. So today's guest is Grace, the creator behind AllergyLifeWithGrace. Grace lives with allergies to dairy, eggs, tree nuts, sesame, kiwi, and several different types of seafood, which she will go more in depth in the episode. But outside of the allergy world, she's incredibly passionate about all things sports and wellness and fitness. She also works in marketing, and she's traveled to so many amazing places. With all of that going on, she still somehow finds time to run her social media account, Allergy Life with Grace, which is why I reached out to her, because she has an incredible platform just educating others about food allergies and really showing behind the scenes of what it looks like to live life with multiple food allergies. And what I love most about Grace's story is how much her relationship with her allergies has changed over time. We go a little bit more in depth in this in the episode, but growing up, she wanted nothing more than to avoid talking about them. But today she's built a platform that's helping thousands of people feel less alone while proving that allergies don't have to define what's possible for your life. So in this conversation, we're talking about the parts of living with allergies that people don't always see: the confidence, the identity shifts, the invisible mental load, all the things I talked about earlier, and how she's learned to stop being ashamed of something that she didn't choose to live her life with. So let's get into it. Here's my conversation with Grace.
Hi, Grace. Thank you so much for being here today and being on the podcast. How are you doing this? Well, you're in Australia, so it's nighttime. So how are you doing this evening? For me, it's the morning. But how are you doing?
Opposite time zones. No, I'm going good, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. I'm so excited for this. I feel like this is, especially when you reached out about like topic ideas and like what we could have a conversation about. And I thought it was such a good, we're just going to have a really good conversation. So I'm super excited and grateful that you're here.
Yeah, no, so excited.
Awesome. Okay, so before we kind of dive into what we're going to be talking about today, everything that you don't see beyond just like the food allergy diagnosis, or the part that people don't always see or miss maybe when they meet someone with food allergies. So before we kind of dive into all of that, for anyone that's listening that might not know your platform or might not know who you are, would love to give you a chance just to give a little spiel about who you are, your food allergy journey, what all of that's kind of looked like.
Yeah, so my food allergy journey started when I was about 3 months, I think I was, when I first tried a dairy yogurt.
Okay.
I instantly started reacting straight away, stopped breathing, and my parents took me to hospital, and that's when they confirmed it was an anaphylactic reaction, and they administered the adrenaline. Um, would have been a very scary experience for my parents. They've never dealt with anaphylaxis at all before. So, yeah, it was very overwhelming for them and very new and different. But yeah, I guess from there, just lots of hospital visits, allergy testing, seeing my allergy specialist, and yeah, to where I am today. So now I'm currently allergic to dairy still, eggs, tree nuts, excluding almonds and macadamia, sesame, kiwi, and some seafoods. So I've been able to outgrow a couple of allergies, so like macadamia nuts and the almond nuts as well, and a couple of the seafoods like octopus and prawns I've outgrown as well. So yeah, I guess that's where I am today now with my allergy journey.
Yeah, wow. I can imagine like being a parent when your child's like 3 months old and having to go through that. And then obviously I've like looked through your content, I've been following you, so I know you have a brother that also has allergies. So
Yes.
were they like expecting that because they went through that experience with you?
I don't know if they were expecting it, but they were much more prepared when my brother was born
Yeah,
and definitely knew it would be a possibility.
right.
So they could
Better
straight
word.
away,
Yeah,
yeah, go get tested and, not learn the hard way what he's allergic to. But yeah, it
right.
tricky managing two kids with like different allergies as well. But I think definitely a lot more prepared.
Yeah.
But then again, different allergies to manage. So it was like a whole nother learning experience again.
Absolutely. I saw the video that you recently posted about how you keep your brother safe with the opposite food allergies of like making sure
Yeah.
you're wiping down the counters, the gloves, everything. And I was like, that's such a cool perspective video because I think a lot of time people think, oh, that makes it so much easier that you have a sibling or someone in your family that has allergies. And it's not always
Yeah.
easier because they could have the opposite allergies or experience than you. So I thought that was really
Yeah.
good perspective that you shared that. So I had to bring
Yeah.
that up because I'm always so fascinated. You're one of the very first people that I've met that has had like a sibling or another family member with opposite. Usually there's like some
Mm,
commonalities.
yeah.
So it's yeah, so it's cool that you shared that.
No, it's interesting. I mean, there's a couple. We're both allergic to eggs, so that's a similarity. But yeah,
Okay.
lots of difference. He can have dairy, but he's allergic to things like potato, wheat, which I can both have. Peanuts. So there's quite a
Yeah.
few differences there. I mean, it was great growing up with someone else who also had allergies and like understood what it was like, but obviously a
Yeah.
lot of other difficulties that came with that being opposites and living together and all of that, but yeah, no, we definitely found what's work and what we have to do to keep each other safe.
That's awesome. I think that's super cool and it's just it's such a learning curve of just
Yeah.
allergy life in general, just from different perspectives. So I'm glad y'all have been able to figure that out and like help each other out and be a support system for each other too. Kind of jumping into our topic of the day, based off kind of what you said and kind of what we were just talking about with, obviously I hinted at it, with your content and creating food allergy content and everything. How did you kind of get into that?
Yeah, so I started my platform just over 3 years ago now, and it really just started as it was actually Eating Out with Food Allergies was the initial account name that I had because it was all about me sharing my
Mm.
experiences eating out as someone with multiple allergies, where I went, what I ate, and what I did so it could be safe for me. And at that stage of my life, that was like the first time ever that I'd started eating out. Growing up as a kid, I never went to any restaurants or any cafes or ate anywhere besides my house or my grandparents' house. So it was a really new experience to
Right.
me. And I remember in the moment thinking, like, this is incredible. Like, I never thought this would be possible for me. And, if you told me literally like a year ago, I would
Hmm.
never have believed you that I was doing this right now. So I thought, maybe if I created a platform
Yeah.
and shared my experience, how I've done it, maybe I could help other people as well, or at least, inspire them and to show that there's more possibilities to what you can do in your life if you have allergies than what you might think. So yeah, I just really want to connect with other people, share my experiences, hopefully connect with a few people along the way and inspire a few people along the way to show that, yeah, I guess there's more than you may think is possible to what it's like with your life living with multiple allergies. And I guess now it's shifted a bit my account, and I've really, I guess, realized that obviously allergies affect so much more in your life than just when you go out to a restaurant. So I really wanted to talk about all aspects of
Hmm.
my allergy life. So things from what it's like living with my brother who has opposite allergies, traveling, going to events, like the social aspects. So yeah, now it's really all about my allergy life altogether. Obviously, still sharing experiences when I go out to eat, and yeah, just to help others feel, I guess, a bit less alone and connect with others, and yeah, I guess just show that there might be more than what you think you can do with allergies.
I absolutely love that, and I think you're doing such a great job. And
Thank you.
I like organically just found your profile one day when I was scrolling, and it was just so cool to follow along on your journey and just watch you do so many incredible things just for the food allergy community and like really be such a strong voice. And just because you have allergies, like you can still do this.
Yeah.
So I think it's been cool to watch that. And what part, I guess, like getting more into what people might not see is when people look at your content, especially since it has evolved into all different things of like food allergies and different avenues. When
Yeah.
people look at your content, what do you think that they see and what do you think that they like completely miss when just like looking at it or like topics that you share or anything?
Yeah. Yeah, I think well, I think a big thing that people see is, I'm advocating for my allergies, I'm going out and doing these things, traveling, going to restaurants, and I really like to share
Yeah.
all of the positive great experiences. But I don't talk as much about what maybe didn't go so great, or the restaurants that I try to eat at and then they said no, they couldn't cater to me. I obviously have grown a lot and become more confident when it comes to speaking about my allergies, but I still definitely get anxious and get stressed if I'm eating at a restaurant, and if I think something might have gone wrong, like I definitely still feel all of the allergy anxieties. And you probably don't see that from all my videos because I really do try to keep it positive. But yeah, I definitely still struggle with a lot of things when it
Mhm.
comes to my allergies. And yeah, I think that's something that not everyone would see.
Well, thank you for sharing that because I feel like that's such a, I feel like that also goes into just like a thing about the world nowadays too is like on social media it's like you want to be positive, you want to help people feel that they can do all of these things with their food
Yeah.
allergies and you want to give them that positive boost because I feel like when you're living it it's sometimes hard to find that positivity, but then on the flip side it's also like you feel what everyone else feels like you have
Yeah.
bad moments at restaurants, you have bad days, and so it's it's trying to the middle ground of trying to find like what to share and what not to share and all of the things.
Yeah.
What's something that you think about every day that because of your allergies that most people never have to think about?
Oh, it's probably just like I'm constantly thinking ahead of like what I'm going to eat for that day, and I have to always be like really planned in, I need to know, am I bringing my lunch? Am I bringing my dinner? Like, am I going straight somewhere after work? Like, what am I going to do to eat? I can't just easily go, oh, okay, I'll just go grab something from whatever cafe I happen to walk past. I really need to always be forward thinking and proactive to make sure I eat every day. So I feel like food is always on my mind and thinking about, okay, what am I going to eat today? And, even just small things like getting home late and then knowing I have to go to work tomorrow. I know I have to stay up later to make my lunch and all my food for tomorrow because I can't just go to the cafe near my work and get something to eat, which a lot of people will be like, okay, I'm too tired. I'm just going to go to sleep. I'll deal with that tomorrow. It's just like, okay, no, you have to always be switched on, always thinking ahead. So you're always prepared.
Yeah. And I think that's a great, just like a great answer, a great point, just because unless you like live with someone that has allergies or you know someone or whatever it might be, this is not like something that we readily talk about. I'll speak for myself. I readily like discuss with people
Yeah.
when my food allergies first come up. And so I think it's such a good point to bring up because if people are listening that have allergies, that would make me feel so like validated and seen because that's not just something that you talk about, but your mind is constantly on. It's like, okay,
Mm,
where's the nearest gas station so that I know that I could get a snack of some kind if I'm like
yeah.
stranded or like keeping a safe snack in the car or
Hmm.
something. It's just you're always constantly thinking about it, which can be so
100%.
hard. So how have you been able to kind of manage that, but also and not let it like consume everything
Mm.
you do?
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. I think it's the mental load that comes with allergies that's always a struggle. And yeah, it's just never really being able to switch off. I feel like I'm just always like on it and, thinking ahead. But I guess
Yeah.
I've had these allergies my whole life, so I've kind of, just learned how to deal with it and what works for me. I think growing up and having such incredible family and my parents around me who, when I was a kid, obviously they did a lot of this stuff for me. They would make my food for me. So I could see exactly what they did and, having them as like a guide to see what they did for me. Now I can kind of do for myself as well. So, you
Yeah.
know, anytime if we were going away for the weekend or something, they would cook all of the food during the week. So we'd just bring it with us. So that's what I do now if I'm going away for a weekend. So, having incredible support people around me who really helped me as a kid and, obviously still do help me now, even though I'm an adult. But obviously, I have to do a lot of things for myself now as well. They're not coming with me to work every day. So I have to do things myself. But yeah, I just know that you know, I can't always do things the exact same way that, everyone else might be able to do it. And that's okay. And I need to do what is going to keep me safe and feel most comfortable. So just, yeah, I guess being prepared, thinking ahead, trying to, I guess, bulk cook things when I can. Sometimes it means eating dinner at like
Yeah.
crazy hours before an event. So,
Yep.
it might not always be the most aesthetic way of things, but you just got to do what works for you.
Yeah. No, that's so real. Eating at the random hours is like something
Yeah.
that no one really talks about unless you get it, but it's like your event's at like 5 p.m. and you're eating dinner at like 3:30. And I'm like, okay, this
Yeah.
is great. I completely relate to you on that front. So how has that transition been for you into adulthood of just like mentally having to carry more, physically have to
Yeah.
carry more, like all of it,
Yeah.
just with leaving your support system, your comfort?
I feel like you summed that up perfectly. It's been more challenging than I expected, I think, to be fair. I feel like managing my allergies as an adult has been a lot harder than managing them as a kid. Especially because of that mental load. A lot of it is on me now and all of the preparations all on me, and I can really appreciate how much my parents did for me growing up. And but yeah, I think having them as like role models when I was younger and having them as my support system has been so helpful for me, and seeing, what they did every day to keep me safe so I can kind of take those tips and tricks and implement it into my own life and do it myself now. And, of course, they're still obviously there and supporting me in every way possible. But, a lot of the things I do have to do for myself now. So, yeah, it's just definitely a lot more of a heavy mental load now. And, just remembering everything that I need to remember, doing everything I need to do, and, advocating for myself now. And, even just like explaining my allergies to new people, obviously I'm not in my little bubble of school anymore. So there's a lot of people that you have to meet. And, food is always something that always comes up very often in social situations. So, yeah, I guess just learning how to explain my allergies to new people and, yeah, advocating for myself.
Yeah. And I think that is like you perfect answer. It's just like navigating how do you do all these things with people that you haven't you haven't known for a while,
Yeah.
that might not understand allergies. I run into that a lot of just like, what is that? You get the weird questions, the weird stares, the weird all
Yeah.
the answers. But I think it also teaches you a lot about people skills, and I feel like it gives you a lot too, of just like how to spot differences in people and like love them differently because of their differences. So if
Yeah.
one thing I do feel like allergies does teach you like really good empathy and like understanding for other people. So how do you think do you manage that now, like as an adult? Like, what are some of the strategies or coping mechanisms that you found that really help you get through some of those like really hard or stressful days with your allergies?
Yeah, I feel like having a support system around me is something that's been super helpful
Yeah.
for me. Having great friends and family and my partner who I know I can always rely on. And, if there's a day where it's just like too much, my parents can make me something to eat. I can, go to our favorite restaurant with my friends, and we can, eat what I love to eat there. And, they just really understand me and my allergies and, how to help me. I know the other night I was like super tired and I knew I had to make a sandwich for work the next day. And my partner was like, okay, no, like we're going to do this together. We'll do this together. I know you're stressed, but we'll just do it together. Cause it's just like, it's something so simple as making
Yeah.
a sandwich, but when you're just like so tired and you don't want to do it and you're like, I know I have to do it, it's just that mental load. And, having people who are just be there to support you, it really means a lot. And I think that's probably the biggest thing for me to help carry that load.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I'm so glad that your partner said that, because I think that is such a underrated thing too, is people, I think a lot of times especially when it comes to romantic relationships and like finding someone, it's like sometimes you think that, oh, like the allergies are going to cause so much strain on
Mm,
on the relationship, or they're going to, it's going to be hard to kind of balance that. But I'm so glad that it's just like any other thing in life, of like we all have our thing. We all have things that make us unique and different and
mm,
might need to give us some extra love for and like support for. So I'm glad that you've
100%.
been able to find such awesome people in your life that can do that for you and show up for you in those times. I guess it kind of relates to what we were just talking about, but have you ever felt the pressure to kind of be the easy person when it comes to going out, being with friends, being with people, maybe new people, like whatever that might look like, and to like not ask too many questions or inconvenience people? And how did you navigate that? And then how have you kind of learned how to not feel like that, or you still
Yeah.
do, kind of what helps you get out of that? Whatever you want to answer with that you're comfortable sharing.
Yeah, no, that's definitely has been a struggle and honestly still is a struggle for me. Like
Yeah.
I know it's important that I do need to, speak up and ask those questions and advocate for myself, but at the same time, I hate like being the center of attention and making a fuss about myself. Like I wish I could just, go with the flow. I don't want to make a whole thing, but
Yeah.
obviously to keep yourself safe, you do need to ask those questions. And that's something that definitely am still working on, but I definitely have gotten better at that. And I think it's just come down to becoming more confident and, just knowing that, this isn't just a choice. I'm not trying to be tricky or fussy or a burden. It's just what I have to do to keep myself safe. And, yeah, just reminding myself it's not a choice.
Hmm.
It's I didn't choose to have allergies, and this is what I've got to do to keep
Right.
myself safe. So it's important that I talk about it, and if people do react badly and think that you're just trying to be difficult, they're obviously not great people to have in your lives, and they're not going to be supportive of you. So it's important to surround yourself with people who will support you because they'll understand that you're just trying to do what you can to keep yourself safe. So yeah, I think it's just really understanding that and, learning to, it might be a bit uncomfortable at times, especially with new people. I think that's where I struggle mostly. Obviously with people who are in my circle, it's second nature. They already know about my allergies. They know all the questions I'm going to ask if we're going out to a restaurant or something, but it's the new people. And then, they're kind of like, oh, why do you need to ask all these questions and do that? Like, can't you just eat that? Like, it looks fine. And, not really understanding. So, it's yeah, I guess learning how to navigate those conversations as well. But it really just comes back to, you have to advocate for yourself and do what you have to do to make you feel most comfortable and safe.
Yeah. You hit on so many good things, because I think feeling like a burden, feeling like, oh, the inconvenience of it all is such an easy feeling to feel. Like it's like, oh,
Mm.
like not this again. And it's really hard to kind of talk yourself out of that sometimes. I know that, at least for me, especially with new people. I would say that's also,
Yeah.
I feel like as you get older, you kind of stop feeling like that when it comes to like people around you or people that love you and like show you support all the time. When you're in like a new situation with a bunch of new people that might be
Yeah.
unfamiliar with allergies, it can be really easy just to shrink and hide and like just try to diminish your allergies. Or I mean, I've even caught myself like at times in social situations, like I'll pull the person, like the server or the person running the event aside and like tell them, because I'm like, I don't want to do this in front of other people because I just don't like the
Yeah.
attention. Exactly what you said. So I think that that is just, it's such a real thing, because I feel like it also, because of that, it's translated into other parts of my life. So I'd be curious to hear of like, is that translated into other, like affected you in other parts of your life too, of like, I just want to be the easy person, like let's make this easy, because I feel like that, not just in the allergy world, but because of my allergies, it's made me kind of small at times. So I would love to hear any thoughts you're willing to share about that.
Yeah, definitely. I think I can relate there. I think um I definitely noticed like as a kid, whenever my allergies were brought up, it would make me, yeah, like the center of attention, but not in the way that I would want to be the center of
Yeah.
attention. And it's just like, oh,
No.
it's too much. Like, I don't like this. So I feel like, it did make me a bit more reserved and quiet in my personality. And, I didn't want to be the loud one, the one that's gaining all the attention, because whenever I did get attention, I felt like it was because of my allergies and, not for a reason that I love.
Yep.
So I feel like that's definitely something that's like played into my sense of self and personality. But it's definitely something that I've worked on, getting older and becoming more confident in myself and my allergies, and, being able to advocate for myself, knowing that it's not a bad thing, to talk about my allergies. It's something that I have to do. And yeah, it's
Mm.
not something that I should be ashamed of or anything, or, feel like I'm a burden. I'm just doing what I have to do. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely still something that I struggle with, because, it can just be easier sometimes to, just be quiet and not always talk about it, but it's important to do so. But like even those little situations, like you mentioned with the server, I literally the other day I was having dinner with a few new people, and I just went up to the bar and like was speaking to the chef directly, because I was like, I don't want to make a big fuss in front of everyone at the
Yeah.
table. I'll just go do it myself. So it's like still advocating for myself, but just navigating how to do it in different situations.
For sure. And I think I feel like that is it's kind of like the how you have to live sometimes in order to not shrink yourself, but also feel comfortable. Of like, sometimes it's just so exhausting to have
Yeah.
to answer all these questions for people when you're in a social situation or you're somewhere, and I'm like, I would rather just go up and deal with this one on one, go back to my dinner, my whatever it is, and just move on. And I feel like that is a lesson that I had to learn like fairly recently. And I feel like that's like an adulthood lesson that I had to learn. So I think it's just a good lesson overall. You don't have to do all of the things and explain it to everyone. Not everyone needs to understand like all the intimate details of your allergies. They can know you have allergies. They know what to keep you safe. They don't need to know like what's going on and all of the things, and you can handle it privately and move on and still feel safe about it, but not feel like you have to explain it. So I think that's really good. But kind of, I guess, similar to that, how do you, when allergies kind of affect, like we've talked about, so many aspects of your life, all of the aspects of your life, really, how do
Mm.
you stop the allergies from becoming your entire identity or personality when they do impact so much of your life?
Yeah, it is tricky because it literally impacts everything in your life. It's a lot more than I think
Yeah.
people would realize. So yeah, I think it is important to, find the things that make you happy and the things that you enjoy doing. So, your life isn't just all about allergies. You can have those, I guess, moments of
Right.
relief to do the things that you like to do. I love sport. I love to run, play netball and soccer, football, whatever you like to call it. So, I like to keep active
Yeah.
and, try to do some type of exercise every day. That's kind of a little part of the day where it's, don't really have to think about my allergies while I do that. I can just kind of zone out, do my thing there. And yeah, I guess just like trying to spend time with loved ones and, you know, doing little fun activities that aren't always revolving around food. You know, going on walks with friends. You know, it's always nice to do activities that aren't just centered around food, so you can kind of take a bit of a break from thinking about that all the time. But yeah, I think it's just like all about keeping
Yeah.
yourself busy, find the things that you enjoy to do and doing them.
Yeah. I'm so glad you said that, because that was kind of the premise, which I've talked briefly to you about when we were messaging. Of the premise of this is to help people see that, like, we do exist outside of just being allergic to things, and we
Yes.
do have like hobbies and life and fun things, and like we do all of these things. So I'm so glad you said that, because I think it's so important when you do have food allergies to find things that are not revolving around food, or just things that make you feel like a normal human being, even if you don't always feel normal in a sense. So that's super cool. I'm glad you love all things active lifestyle and just being fun and doing fun things. Do you think sharing your journey, your life online has changed your relationship with your allergies in a positive, or I guess negative way, but has it changed your relationship at all with them?
Yeah, it definitely has, and definitely for the positive, not for the negative. I think
Good.
like
Good.
social media and creating content is something that I love to do and I'm passionate about. So being able to combine that with allergies has really put my allergies in a different light for me. You know, I'm excited to make a video or, you know, share a story about my allergies. So yeah, it's made me become more confident in my allergies and, you know, more excited to talk about them. And
Yeah.
it's made a lot of people in my life more, I guess, realizing that they can talk to me about it. You know, it's growing up, I definitely didn't like talking about my allergies. So, you know, I avoided talking about it. But now that I am being more actively speaking about it all over social media, you know, I've been able to have more
Mhm.
conversations with people about it. And, you know, it's great to know that people in my life, you know, really do care and, you know, they're actually interested in asking questions. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely changed it for the better. I think the other big thing for me is just having a community of people. Growing up, I really didn't know too many people who had allergies besides my brother. So by creating this account and connecting with so many people all across the world who have allergies, whether it's the same as me or different or
Yeah.
similar, it's just been incredible to see that there's so many people, other people out there who are like me, and you know, go through the same struggles as me, and you
Mhm.
know, just trying to live a normal life with allergies and you know, being able to connect with them and see, you know, they're going through the same struggles as me. They're trying to do the same things that I'm trying to do. They're trying to go out to restaurants and they're trying to travel. And yeah, it's just great to not feel so alone and feel like you're part of a community. And, you know, everyone who I've met through my account and spoken to have just been incredible and so supportive. And, you know, it's helped me learn more things. You know, I've discovered new products and new restaurants because I've spoken to other people. So,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely has changed my relationship with my allergies for the better. And yeah, I definitely see them in a much more positive light now.
I love that, especially when we're younger. I totally relate to what you were saying about I never wanted to talk about my allergies. And I think it kind of goes into what we were just talking about, of just like feeling like as soon as you would tell someone about allergies, that became your entire
Yeah.
personality. And that was like all they were focused on. That was what they would joke about. That was like easy for people to grab onto. And then you build this life outside of allergies, growing up and through adulthood, and then you share it more on social media and you realize you're helping other people realize that not everything has to revolve around your allergies. And I think it's so cool that I'm now seeing so many allergy social media creators, because I was like, little me would have loved that. YouTube or like a social, yeah, like a social media person that I could have watched and listened to, that understood what I was going through and all of the things. So I hope you know how awesome the work that you're doing is. So keep doing it because it's changing the way that food allergies are talked about. So
No,
yeah.
thank you so much. And yeah, no, I definitely agree. I feel like if I was a
Yeah.
kid and I saw someone who was like making videos about allergies, that would make me feel so much less alone and feel like, okay, my allergies aren't like
Yeah.
the biggest burden in the world. Look, this person has gone traveling all over the world. They're going out to restaurants, they're still doing so much with their allergies. And I think, yeah, it would give me a lot more hope. And yeah, no, it's definitely something that I'm really grateful for. I've had a few like moms and dads who've reached out and said, they watch my content with their kids and,
Hmm.
it really inspires their kids and makes them smile. And I'm like, that just means the world to me because that's exactly what I'd love to do. I would
Yeah.
love if like little Grace could watch my videos now. Yeah, it means so much.
Yeah. And I bet it's also so healing for you to not only get those messages, but to also like post your content and just like talk about things. It's just so much growth and change of like, I never wanted to talk about it. And now it's
Yeah.
like what I do. So it's cool that you've been able to have that growth. And that's awesome. I love it. If someone listening is just, I guess, exhausted by the parts of allergies that no one really sees, what would you kind of want to tell them, talk to younger you, whatever, but any advice that you would want to give them?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that you're definitely not alone in how you're feeling, and definitely everyone with allergies has experienced it at some stage and, will continue to experience it. Unfortunately, it is, inevitable. Oh gosh, can't pronounce that. You're always going to face those feelings at some stage, and, it's not always going to be the best days ever. There will be, down days. You'll have times when you feel a lot more anxious, or stressed about things. But, it's really about looking at the positives and looking at what works for you. And, if that's telling the people around you just like little things that they can do to kind of help you out and, take some of that stress off on those days when it's just a bit too much, simple things, asking if they can, buy your favorite chips when at the shops or something. So when you come home, you can have something to eat. I think, yeah, it's just important to tell the people around you, little things that they can do to help you out because I feel like those little things really do add up and they take up so much stress off when, people help out when they can. So, yeah, I think it's really just about knowing what works for you and, what will take some of that stress off for you. Like, what is it that's really stressing you out right now? And, not being afraid to reach out for help if you need it as well.
Yeah. I love that you said telling people how to support you and like how to love you because I think that's something that gets misguided sometimes is even in life of just like communication of oh I wanted them to just know. I wanted them to
Mm,
know like how to support me. I wanted them to just do this for me. And of course, there are going to be some people in life that are just going to get it. Like I've known
yeah.
someone with allergies and they're like, okay, I know how to do this. Like I get it. But most people don't. And just the reality of life is you have to teach people how to love you and support you. And I think that's great advice because the first time that you do it, if they're a person that truly loves and cares about you and wants the best for you,
Hmm.
they're going to do whatever they can moving forward to do that for you and to show up for you. So, um, I love that you said that. That's great advice. And younger me would have loved to hear it. So, thank you for sharing it.
I feel like you don't really growing up
Yeah,
with allergies and having them, you obviously know what you need and how people can help you. But, if you've grown up
right.
and you don't have allergies, you don't know anyone has allergies, obviously, you don't have that understanding. So I feel like you've got to understand that and appreciate that. And, you might need to hold their hands a little,
Yes.
teach them, what they need to know, how they need to help you. And, exactly as you said, if someone really loves you and cares about you, they want to do what they can to help you out. So they'll, take on board what you say. I know I have one of my bestest friends since like kindergarten every time I go over, she has like a pack of chips for me. And, if other people are coming, she knows she'll pour some in a little bowl so everyone else can share and put their hands in there. And then we'll keep the little packet for me. And like, it's such a little thing, but like, it literally means the world to me that she remembers that every time, that it's not just, here's the chips you can eat, but if other people are touching it, I'm not going to eat it. So I think like that happened once. And so now she's like, okay, I know what I need to do. And it's a little thing. And it just like means the world when people remember those little details and, they do what they can to keep you safe.
That is something that is, I don't think talked about enough, of the little, like how even the smallest things, how big they feel. Of my friend, similar, she kept one of my favorite drinks in her fridge, and it was the first time that anyone in my life had like kept one of my like special treats in their house. So like anytime I would go over when I was in college, like she would have a new one like in her fridge, and I just remember like getting in the car the first time it happened and just like sobbing because I was like, wow, like someone sees me, like she's noticed that like that's like my favorite thing, and she like went the extra mile to like always keep that in her house. So I love that you shared that story, because I think that's something that's just so powerful about. And she's like looking at me and she's like, it's a can of soda. I'm like, no, like you don't understand. Like this like means the world to me. It's the intention and the love behind it and the everything. So yeah, and it's cool to think and talk about, because not a lot of people can relate to that always. But I also think for people that maybe were recently diagnosed or like diagnosed later in life, I also think that that advice is so important too, of inviting people in to your learning. Like I've had people that have been diagnosed later in life that I know, and the thing that's really helped them get through that is inviting people into what they're learning. Like, hey, I'm learning this new recipe this week. Do you want to come cook it with me? Or I'm doing this week. I have to go to the allergist. Do you want to come with me? Like simple things like that, that just kind of allow people into the process. So I wanted to throw that in there in case anyone's listening that was diagnosed later or just is in a different circumstance, because I know that cannot be easy too when you've gone your whole life living in a normal state of something and then having it change overnight. I think this has been one of my favorite conversations that I've had in so long with someone, just because it's been so real and relatable, and I feel like if it's relatable to us, it'll be relatable to the people listening, and hopefully just offer some perspective too for the people that don't have food allergies. But before we kind of wrap things up, if you could change one thing about the way people treat or perceive people with food allergies, what would it be?
Oh, I think it would honestly just to be, not treat them as a burden and just treat them as,
Yeah.
every other human being who, no one's perfect. Everyone has, something that they have to deal with. And, allergies are just something that we have to deal with. And, um, it's not our choice. It wasn't something that we've chosen to live with, but it's something that we have to live with. So I think, it would be really great if people were a bit more, I guess, understanding of that and, just accepting that, we're just trying to do what we can. We're not trying to make things tricky and, people just to view us like anyone else and, that the things that we're asking or saying, they're not crazy or us trying to make a big scene or be difficult, just understanding, that's what we've got to do. I think the biggest thing is just really understanding and acceptance, I think.
I love that. Couldn't have said it better myself. That I think that's just, the world needs more empathy in general, of just like, just because you don't understand it, I'm not asking you to understand it. I just need some respect, some empathy, some perspective, and we can go about our merry way. But I think that's great tip, because it's the world is changing, and I think people are starting to come around to it because it's becoming more prevalent. but it's still something. I mean, you post on social media, so you totally understand it too. I posted a video about like how I order at a restaurant with my 10 food allergies, and the hate comments that I received on that video were astronomical. So, and it's just like it has to go in one ear and out the other most of the time. But I think that's really good advice, just perspective and not making people feel like they chose to live like that. They chose, to live like this.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Before we kind of sign off for the day, I would love to give you the opportunity to shout out any social media platforms, any things you're working on. This is your spotlight, your moment to shine.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I guess just my social media accounts. So Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, it's all just at AllergyLifeWithGrace. But yeah, would love to connect with anyone else who's listening. And, if you've related to anything we've spoken about, I'm always love to chat and, just talk about what people are going through because, most of the time we probably are all going through the same or similar things. So it's just always nice to speak to other people who are in the same boat and, feel less alone and, I guess just feel understood in your feelings. And yeah, I guess I'm always happy to have a chat. Anything allergy related. So yeah, feel free, reach out, follow. Yeah, I'd love to connect with as many people as possible.
Awesome. Super cool. I will put all of Grace's social media and all the things in the show notes. So go check that out so that you can look at all of her amazing content, follow her, give her all the love in the world. Thank you again for coming on the podcast. I would love to have you come back and do another episode at some point, talking about, I'm sure we could talk for hours about all of the things. So I would love to have you back. So thank you so much for willing to be part of this and being willing to be vulnerable and share stories and all the things. So that's not an easy thing to do.
No, thank you so much for having me. I definitely would love to come back. I just looked at the time. I realized we've been talking for like an hour. It does not feel like that long at all. It's just felt like such an easy conversation. I can't believe it's been so long. So yeah, always down for a chat again.
Yes, we will definitely do another episode and all the things, maybe 3 more, like whatever we want. We'll do a couple episodes, but we now are friends and it's going to be great and all the things. Thank you guys so much for listening and go check Grace out. And thank you, Grace, for being here.
Thank you.
What I loved most about this conversation is that it reminds us that the hardest parts of food allergies usually aren't the ones that people can see. It's the conversations before the restaurant, before the event, the confidence, and the mental preparation that it takes to speak up, the planning, the independence, like all of the things. And especially like the moments where you wonder if people really understand what your day to day looks like. And yet, those experiences can also shape us into stronger advocates and more confident people, and also remind us that our lives are so much bigger than our diagnosis. If this episode resonated with you at all, I'd love if you went and shared one of our clips on your social media, reposted, liked, comment, whatever you want to do, and tag both Grace and Asteryx so we can see that you're listening. And if you know someone who's living with food allergies or someone who loves someone who is, send this episode their way. I mean, these conversations are just how we create more understanding, awareness, perspective, all of the things. Next week, we're continuing the conversation with another incredible guest and diving into a whole new perspective on what it really means to grow up living with food allergies and how do you live beyond a diagnosis in different stages of your life. So you won't want to miss that. But until then, keep living boldly, keep asking bigger questions, and keep living beyond the label. See y'all next week.